Yes, in the last podcast, we had a look at the rather bizarre Sonic CD soundtrack.
Yes, we did.
Kind of compared the American to the Japanese. Basically, the idea is, when we were 10 years old, we can see why they would have changed the music for the American version for when we were 10 years old.
Yeah, compared to the Japanese.
When you were 10, Sonic was your favorite hero, and he was saving the world from this super evil man,
Yeah, the evil Dr. Eggman.
That's what we interpreted it as. We've got a lot of responses to it. Like we've got a clip of that section on YouTube, and there was a lot of views. Some people didn't quite get what we were getting at. Some people were kind of, oh no, the Japanese soundtrack is way better. You guys are idiots, and we weren't really trying to say it was bad.
We were just saying it was different.
Yeah, a bit strange and not what you'd expect. And we kind of got to see is that when you're 10, that music is weird. Right? As an adult, I find the American soundtrack to be a little bit
too full of itself, almost.
Oh yeah, a little bit Captain Planet. It kind of takes itself a little bit too seriously and too heroically.
For what is essentially a blue hedgehog with human-esque proportions, an anthropomorphic hedgehog running around weird platform levels with.
I know that when they were adapting it for cartoons and that, they made him into quite the hero. But we're forgetting here that we were looking at a little spiky blue thing that rolled around versus a big giant egg-shaped man with a mustache the size of whales.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that soundtrack, and I usually play it with that soundtrack now that I have the option to.
This is also a bad guy who was evil, had a high IQ.
He had an IQ of like 300, and yet he was an idiot.
Yeah, because his tactic was, okay, I will attack you with my latest creation, and if that doesn't work, I'll do it again. It's still not working. Maybe a third time we'll catch you out.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What we're going to do this time is we're going to have a look at the some of the odd things in the American soundtrack. Both soundtracks had a kind of element of, look, we want it to be obvious this is CD music. We want to show off the fact that you can have pop music in the background here. So both of them are, the Japanese jam-packed itself with all kinds of crazy sound effects.
Yes.
Whoop that, get down, whoop, work that funky butt. And whatever they could. The Americans decided to go a little bit more doo-wop, a little bit and they've got like a little theme song. Anyway, I wanted to first show you the main theme for the American Sonic CD.
Yeah.
It's a supersonic flight, gotta keep it going.
And so on and
so forth.
What do you think of that, Chris?
Well, we drew the reference earlier to the early morning Saturday cartoon.
Yeah.
Because that is what it sounds like.
Wheeled Warriors!
Yeah, Captain Planet!
He's a hero, gonna take pollution down to zero, yeah.
But also running really fast, and being blue, and a hedgehog.
Singing about your subject matter, yeah. Where they would just sort of sing about how he was going to save the planet from disaster.
Yeah, because they couldn't name anything specific, because obviously if they did, they would kind of...
spoil the plot!
Exactly. The plot which they made up per episode.
Yeah, but when you're 10, that music was great. It'd get you riled up. It was thunder, 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 cats. You know, it would get you going. It doesn't stand the test of time when you grow up, though.
No.
And so it becomes a little. And what baffles me more though is that when you finish the game, you get an ending which was all kind of upbeat in Japanese.
Yeah.
And here, something about having saved the world is quite melancholy for Sonic in Sonic CD American version. It sounds something like this.
Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom.
Quite kind of somber, wouldn't you say,
Yeah.
for a hedgehog saving the world from the big giant mustache man?
It kind of gives this kind of impression of, okay, yes, we have saved the world, but at what cost?
At the cost of Sonic's innocence.
Yes, the world will never be the same again.
He can't see, and he can't unsee what he has seen.
No,
You
he
know.
wakes up at night screaming,
Sonic
sometimes
flashbacks.
about the poor animals trapped in robots.
His flashbacks to his fights with Metal Sonic and the Miracle Planet and all the gore which ensued. There's animals dying inside. You know, is it animals? You know, there's animals in the robots. In this
Yeah.
one, you know, you break the robots open and a little bunny sort of, you know, skips off.
Oh yeah, it's not in this one, it's
No,
flowers.
a flower comes out. So I don't know if he turns seeds into robots. You know, I don't know.
There aren't enough animals yet. I will start utilizing the power of plants.
And that's just the explosion, just fertilizes
And so
the
he
soil.
did.
So yeah, no, that's Sonic Boom, and throughout the game you can have these shooty-doop sort of sounds from those same female singers. And I was given a rumour once that these vocals were all done by the girls from The Corrs,
Okay.
which would be awesome, but it's clearly not true because it's an American soundtrack and then The Corrs are Irish.
Yeah.
But it would be awesome, you know. Okay. Oh, I'm going to tell you a tale about a magical little hedgehog saving the world from the evil Dr. Obotnik.
Dr. Robotnik.
He's a magical little hedgehog. And what he does is he uses magical powers to curl into a tiny little ball and roll all around. He's so fast, he can reach the other side of the rainbow.
And
get that
sometimes you can even
crocodile.
run back through time.
Run back through time to the old days when the leprechauns were about. I don't know why I went Canadian there.
It just did.
It did. Well, it's
Because everyone knows that Ireland and Canada are the same place.
They're similarly joked about, I suppose. They're both places which are actually awesome, but for some reason are the butt of everybody's joke. Isn't it, though? Canada and Ireland, they're both fantastic places, and yet they joked about the most.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so Sonic CD, in a little while, we're going to do a Sonic CD X Factor. Because many people have taken it upon themselves to sing their own cover versions of Sonic Boom, that theme song you just heard there, on YouTube. And
With varying levels of quality.
yeah, varying from bad to worse. But we're going to do a little kind of a panel of two judges, you know, listening to these Sonic CD karaoke. So stick around for that. I'm going to look at a couple more tracks for the American Sonic CD real quickly. Okay, well, one of the ones that stuck out for me is, okay, say you want a water level in UK, you want an underwater level. You know how the Sonic water levels are, they're kind of those old Aztec places and the kind of labyrinth.
Yeah, labyrinth
you know,
like.
Yeah,
Underwater
underwater ruins.
big
basically.
stone bricks.
Yeah, and it's
cracks
exactly
and
like this in
bubbles
this one. And so underwater level, you'd want something kind of like this, wouldn't you? Kind of, oh, swishy, watery, kind of
I can hear the
mysterious.
water and
Yeah,
everything.
that's a water level, isn't it? You know. Yeah, that's mystical.
Serene.
That's a trick. Yeah. The Americans decided to go with something more along these lines. I don't know why it's ping pong. I'm doing a dance here. You can't see it on that.
No, but he is.
So I'm not
It's
sure
the Sonic
when that
sonar.
decision was made. I'm not sure what that's got to do with water. It's kind of groovy.
Yeah, it's definitely groovy.
The water level gets stranger though. It gets a bit weirder. Let's say we go to the future of the water level, but we go to the good future, as in we've gone into the Sonic CD is about time travel. I'm sure you all know this. We go back to the past.
If you don't, you do now.
Yeah, we go back to the past, we destroy Robotnik's robot generator, and we make a brighter future for the level. When you go into the future then, it's nice, yeah? Okay, so the Good Future is still underwater. It's just a bit nicer, you know. And Japanese choose to use a remix of the same music,
Yeah.
but make it a bit nicer. Americans, it's also a very beautiful underwater Aztec, but it's been renovated, you know. Do you think it would sound like this? Bonk. Bonk.
I've got to say the music reminds me of a kind of late 70s British game show.
Yes, like, welcome to the Challenge of Fortune with your host, Timmy this.
Look at the great prizes we have today! We've got a blender! A different kind of blender!
A mustache the size of whales! Dr. Eggman swinging ball machine!
The chance to be encased inside a robot!
But this is one of the features that I'm amused by, but I kind of like about the American soundtrack is that while you have these funny little and there's whoever does the guitar tends to get a little bit carried away. He seems to take his job very seriously because this same music. And not long after that, we get the guitarist goes fucking wild, and we get this.
Now we drew on this before about the whole CD side of it, and you know the fact that they were wanting to put lots of high quality music.
Yeah.
Look at our CD
You
power.
can't do this with a Mega Drive FM chip. Yeah.
No MIDI files here.
They must have brought in a guitarist and he's gotten carried away a bit, you know. You can sort of picture him in the sound going, oh, yeah, oh, listen to that fucking groove, man.
Just down on his knees. Just
yeah, sweating, you know, covered in sweat. Oh, but this leads to one of
the thing is, that's why there's only one, because afterwards he smashed up all the entire studio with his guitar.
But this does lead to one of the coolest moments in any game soundtrack ever, which sounds like this. He's rocking out.
Yeah, rocking out like a badger.
Well, before we go on to Sonic X Factor, there was one more thing I wanted to look at, which was there's a zone called Wacky Workbench, which it's a workbench and it's quite wacky, but it's an absolute clusterfuck of a level. I mean, it is insanity. It's like a sort of one of those old Mega Man games. You know, there's platforms going up, down, left, right, all over the place, and there's freeze.
And then forwards and backwards through time.
Yeah, there's freeze beams, and there's things dropping bombs on you the whole time. It's insane. And to make things worse, you can't touch the floor. The floor is electrified, but not electrified as in you die. Electrified as in if you touch it, you go belting upwards to the very top of the level and have to make your way back down because all the traps are up there. So you touch the floor, you are slingshotted upwards, you know, to the very top.
Just like a real electrified floor.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity, and to match this insanity, you'd expect, you know, some kind of crazy music, something like this. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's not
That
really.
was from the Japanese soundtrack,
Yeah.
just to point out.
Yeah, not really something like this. kind of sounds more like Christmas workbench.
Well, I drew on this before about sounding like a 70s program, but it sounds to me like a kind of 70s, we're going to come and decorate your home.
Do you think, like, kind of, here we have Carol Smiley!
On this week's episode of Renovate Your Garden, we're trying to build a runway.
But it's very difficult because the floor is electrified, and every time Carol tries to paint it, she is slingshotting upwards from miles!
Will she get it done in time? Will the family come back and find it hard?